Hey there, welcome to First Glance with Jody Vance. Always glad to have you along for yet another adventure into what can be some, nervous waters for some people who are hesitant to become investors, maybe first-time investors. Well, how to get in at the ground floor on companies where you might have an opportunity to hit big, or at least see your hard-earned dollar grow. We talk often on First Glance with Jody Vance about how markets shouldn't be just for people in expensive suits with pocket squares, although those are fun to own and wear, not for everybody. So how about the little person, the little investors that want to learn about those companies that are just on the verge of hitting big? Well, we are introducing you to yet another great company, a Canadian company that you should check into. This is CAT Strategic Metals Corp. The stock symbol is CAT, C-A-T, really easy to remember that. And we're with Robert Rosner, who is the CEO at CAT Strategic Metals Corp, the chairman of the board, president, and CEO. I got to get all of your titles in there, Robert. Thank you for doing this.
Well, you make me sound a little bit larger than life with all that.
Well, I'll bring you down a couple notches because just before we started recording, I said, is it Rosner or Rosner? And what did you say to me?
Ask my sister.
Which is the best answer ever.
I forget. I always forget.
It's so great. Tell us a little bit about you and what CAT Strategic Metals Corp is all about.
Well, sure, Jody, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. So myself, I've been doing this, when I say this, I've been an entrepreneur for well over 3 decades already. I've been in the mining exploration business, in the startups, probably since the early 90s as in investor relations, and from there learned how to go up and, start my own projects. And so, I've been in and out of this quite a bit over time.
And clearly you found something to sink your teeth in here with CAT, C-A-T, again, the stock symbol, wanting to know about this particular mining company. I find it interesting because I've done a few of these interviews now, and oftentimes we're talking about South America or the southern US. I think this might be the first time I've seen projects in New Brunswick.
Well, certainly it's a newer territory for the investor, to look at. And primarily, people are looking at places like Quebec and British Columbia. And, over time, the last, I'd say 10, 15 years, you've seen Manitoba pop up, Saskatchewan. Of course, Ontario's been there. Of course. Not so much on the East Coast, other than way back when the big nickel discovery, was popular. But yeah, New Brunswick, I mean, there's activity going on there. There's discovery, there's mines there. And, it's cost effective. We think that we have a really good opportunity. And, part of our business model is lean and mean. We want to put every penny in the ground and have as low overhead as possible.
This is the very cool part of this, the hybrid junior exploration company that you are. I was like, hybrid, that sounds fascinating. Can you give a little bit of an idea of what that mission is when you want every penny to go into the ground? To what do we attribute the word hybrid when it applies to this company?
Yeah, absolutely. And this model has been working for me for the last few years in other ventures that I've had. So basically with CAT, we've been able to streamline it and refine it. And that is, we look for projects that are grassroots, but have had work done on them in the past, that have had money spent, but a lot of the information, may not be accumulated and put into and compiled right into a coherent package. So we'll go in there and we'll do additional work, primarily geophysics, geochemistry, to get more identification on the surface. And then we'll package up reports. We'll take all the previous information, and hopefully we've improved the property to a point where we decide whether or not either we want to go even further in exploration or maybe seek a partner.
And that's what I think is really cool about this. When you look for properties that some work's already been done beforehand, so then you're thinking, okay, the access, the costs, the ability to compile all of that information and use your 30 plus years of expertise to sift through, literally and figuratively, to find out if this is worth further exploration and further investment.
Exactly. And, we've been successful with this in the past in this model where we've done exactly that. And we've been able to, attract joint ventures from, juniors and major mining companies.
Now, when you talk about junior exploration, I mean, certainly I'm sitting in British Columbia. There's a lot of people who talk about junior mining companies. What might put CAT at the top of the mining pile when it comes to investment dollars? What would be the lure for that?
Well, again, I mean, aside from the expertise, I mean, we have a stellar board and stellar management, but we run lean. I mean, we don't put our money into big overhead, big salaries, big office. We share offices with 2 other juniors. We share staff. So, we're all seasoned veterans, and that way we can keep our costs down, but we know how the business works. So when it comes to raising funds, which is tough in our business, it's what I call feast or famine.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're raising hundreds of thousands of dollars as opposed to tens of millions. You don't have a lot of cushion in that budget. So you've got to make sure that every dollar works for you. And projects that we look for and that we obtain, that's exactly what we do. We put most of it in the ground.
It is feast or famine in the mining industry. Where do you see us at this moment? I mean, obviously, COVID-19 has thrown every market a curveball, other than perhaps the Amazons of the world or those set up for the tech-based, home-based delivery sort of scenario. But certainly, there's been from this novice perspective, if I'm thinking this, please do correct me if I'm wrong. There has been a significant swing in an up direction when it comes to the mining industry over the last number of months, maybe a year.
Well, no, actually, certainly, I've been noticing this or feeling this actually for the last 2.5 years. I mean, when you're in it, you get the information, you trade information with a lot of industry professionals in your field. And we did see this coming. We felt it was coming, that it was time again, that the cycle was there.
Yeah.
And COVID didn't seem to slow it down very much. I mean, we all learned how to adapt and communicate remotely. But one beautiful thing about this industry is you're going out into the wild wilderness. I mean, you aren't going to be, worrying about social distancing too terribly much. So the industry didn't get harmed that much. And that allows us to continue on. But certainly the cycle with commodities has improved dramatically. And we think we're in a really good place right now. I mean, if you have the goods, if you're run well, managed well, the investors, including the more sophisticated institutional investors, they'll take a close look at you.
So once again, CAT Strategic Metals Corp is the name of the company. The stock symbol is CAT. And we are with Robert Rosner, or Rosner. We're not sure. We're going to ask his sister, Rosner, who's the chairman of the board, president and CEO, and all around nice guy. I really like getting to know the people behind the title, behind the reputation. I mean, you speak about how long you've been in the industry, your time as an entrepreneur, as somebody who is a builder when it comes to putting together and really literally creating companies that are on the same alignment, I guess, with CAT. When it comes to this is not your first rodeo, is what this novice is trying to say. You are in a position here where you're doing it because you love it and you're inspired by it and you're still going in search of it. It's really fascinating to sort of get to know the motivation behind, like you said, not a big office, not a big fancy fat salary, but the want to go to New Brunswick or Nevada and make a discovery, make a find, and make some money for those who invest in your company. I think this is it's a cool ground floor for somebody who has your resume, if I may.
It's funny you mentioned the word, it's not my first rodeo. And I like that, because if you can see behind me, that picture on the wall is of my first gold pour. That was my first rodeo in Quebec. And we poured that gold 6 weeks after our IPO. And it was a small IPO of only about $600,000 in 1995. And this is in Quebec. And I poured a bar of gold off of that IPO in 6 weeks. It was almost virtually unheard of at the time. And I was young. And I'll tell you, that's when I got the real bug after that happened. And I held that thing in my hand and realized that this is real. So
that's a goosebump kind of moment.
It sure was. And I still remember it. Still remember being at the smelter watching it pour.
Wow. Robert, that's so cool. Let's talk about your investment history, if you will. For somebody watching right now who says, I've never done it before, I have no idea where to begin. How do you do your due diligence when you're investing your hard-earned dollars into a company in the market?
Well, in this space, it's all about the people. I mean, you can have a mediocre project, you can have a great project, but if the people aren't managing the corporate side, the money, the structure, you're already at a deficit. So you have to trust the people that you're putting your money into, not so much the property, because you can take a bad property and you can discover something, right? Yeah. But if the people aren't managing it correctly, you don't even get off the ground with it.
Let's talk a little bit about the geological side of things, because when you're talking about exploration like this, your team, when dispatched to the middle of nowhere, as you said, in COVID, you can go. You're socially distanced when you're going out to get some samples. Talk a little bit about your team.
Certainly, again, our team are seasoned veterans, and the ones that we are involved with on these particular projects have all had experience on these projects in the past. In a sense, they almost came with the project, so I sought out the people that did the exploration first before I acquired the projects. Why? Well, because their expertise was already utilized there. People spent the money, they have the knowledge base, so you're getting the benefit of all that knowledge. And so when you do that, and they have the time available to work with you, again, that gives you a leading edge, and an edge up on the project itself.
And no duplication.
And no duplication, exactly. That's what we try to avoid. Yeah.
So again, that goes back to the hybrid junior exploration sort of moniker that comes with this particular company. We're talking about CAT, Strategic Metals Corp, the stock symbol CAT. And if you'd like to find out more, Robert Rosner or Rosner, I think I'm going Rosner. I think next time we talk, Robert, I'm going to be like, yeah, I checked with your sister. It's Rosner. It'll be our long time running joke as you report back with what's happening down the road here with CAT. When do you expect sort of next news or updates to come on your properties at this point, so people can keep their ear to the ground, as it were?
Actually, we have news coming out within days. Yeah. So just stay tuned.
Okay. So we might be talking really soon, because the whole idea about First Glance is that you come back around and have a second and a third and a fourth, but we want you to keep us posted on all things CAT related. Again, hit that stock symbol, stay in the know, and your website, if people want to get in touch with you, if investors want to find out more and ask perhaps questions that I've not asked here on First Glance, how would they go about that?
Oh, absolutely. catstrategic.com. So www.CAT strategic.com.
I'm in. Okay, I've written that down. catstrategic.com. Such a pleasure. Hope we get to hang out again soon.
Thank you very much, Jody. It's a pleasure. It's mine.